How do you know when it's time to take a step back from something? How do you know when it's time to hit the pause button? Life is chaotic sometimes. It can go in all kinds of directions. Sometimes it's exhausting. Sometimes we just don't know which way to go. And yet life, when it's done well, there is this balance of holding in tension all kinds of things. And so how do we figure out how to take a step back in relationship to a balancing act? Because so often in our culture, it's all about the language we use. We're either all in or all out. But life is about so much more than the extremes. And so what does it mean to look at, to examine what it means to take a step back, not from a place of extreme, but from a place of balance? Jesus weighs into this conversation very helpfully in Mark 6, verses 10 through 12. And at this point, he's with his apostles, he's with the disciples, and he is helping them to understand what his ministry is, what he is trying to do, and how they are about to go out and do it themselves. Maybe that when he's not even walking alongside of them, how are they going about teaching the life, the way of Jesus, but also how are they healing? And so we get to a part where things are out of balance, where he knows that things are going to be out of balance for them. He said, whatever house you enter, remain there until you leave that place. If a place doesn't welcome you or listen to you as you leave, shake the dust off your feet as a witness against them. So they went out and proclaimed that people should change their hearts and lives. So the message that the apostles are trying to get across to people is this thing about change your hearts and lives. And when we hear that, of going, okay, what do they mean by that? What they're doing is they're saying change your hearts and lives to be looking at, understanding, living into how God is encompassing their lives in love, forgiveness, mercy, grace, healing. And that what do we need to change about our hearts and our lives to live more fully into that? And it's one of those things of going, what are we getting caught up in that isn't changing our hearts and lives, that maybe is draining, is maybe spending too much of our energy on? It keeps us spinning our wheels. What are we getting too focused on? What are we focused on when we need to take a step back? Is it from a place of balance, or is it because something is off? Maybe we even feel like we're exhausted. And so how do we understand taking a step back with a focus on changing our hearts and lives? And having that perception of, okay, what is it? How am I perceiving the world around? And what is out of balance? What do I need to do to get my life back in balance? A reason to take a step back. Or because we're being distracted from changing our hearts and lives that allows God to encompass. So then, okay, well, there's a reason to take a step back. Jesus also gives us another reason when he says, if a place doesn't welcome you or listen to you, as you leave, shake the dust off your feet as a witness against them. Think of this like, if there is no respect, then move on to something else. If it's like, all right, if there's no respect, we move on from the conversation, we move on from the event, we move on from the relationship, we move on from whatever it is. But what's really important here to note is the shake the dust off comment. Because that is all about not allowing our reason that maybe if our life is out of balance, maybe if we are exhausted and we're taking a step back, to not allow whatever has happened to get attached to us, to get consumed by it, to get consumed into the negativity, to get stuck on being like, why am I taking a step back? Being perceptive enough to go, okay, why do I need to take a step back? And going, all right, if it's because of some issue here, like Jesus was saying, if a place doesn't welcome you or listen to you, as you leave, shake the dust off your feet. Let it be and go on. And so there's an element of peace here, of taking a moment to shake the dust off, of being able to leave in peace, to be able to take a step back in peace, but also to be able to extend peace to others. And so that's a real moment here of recognizing that when we're taking a step back for reasons of balance, of, all right, we need to figure out how to hold things in tension once again, how to live healthy, of going, all right, how is this action of mine bringing peace not only to myself, but to others? And so a real moment of some deep self-reflection, and also an understanding of what is playing into here that is of peace. How is peace helping us go forward? Because that's the whole thing about taking a step back. Taking a step back is meant to give clarity for how to go forward, to how to move to new places. Because the apostles don't stop. He's like, yeah, shake the dust off, go on. You got other things to do, other places. You've got other conversations to have. And so how do we be able to take a step back that will ultimately lead us to moving forward? Have a good one.